After all, what's the heart for? Well, at times it's handy for falling in love. Yes, but it also acts like a pump which circulates the blood. Especially when someone is in love. And the blood, just what is it? Well, I wouldn't want to disappoint you, but our blood, your blood, is 60% water. Along with salt, proteins in the form of albumin, and fat in the form of cholesterol, which are dissolved in the water. This is what the specialist calls plasma. Water, yes, but a very interesting kind of water that transports many billions of corpuscles and other things which travel through many thousands of miles of tubes, arteries, arterioles, veins, veinlets, and blood vessels to bring life to many billions of tiny cells which I am made of, and which he and she are made of. The red and white corpuscles, the blood platelets, and the antibodies all travel together in these vessels, which look like busy expressways during rush hour. Let's take Mr. Red Corpuscle, for instance. What's his job? He's busy replenishing. He goes into the lung, where he loads up with oxygen, which he takes to a cell. The cell takes in the oxygen, and also the sugar or fat, and carries out its cell work. It's a bit like an engine, creating the product of combustion primarily out of carbonic gas. And rather than returning empty, the red corpuscle fills up with carbonic gas and returns it to the lung, where he's supposed to breathe it out, provided they let him do so. Ooh. In reality, when magnified thousands of times, they rather look like this. Yes, the poor things are not very photogenic, are they? And as for the white blood cells, they're not much better, so let's go on with our story. The white corpuscles are concerned with defense. Defense against all bacilli, germs, viruses, and many types of foreign cells that endanger our bodies. The biggest of the white corpuscles are called polynucleates. They are serious about their business and get on with their defense job. The lymphocytes, the smallest of the white corpuscles, are by far the shrewdest. They are never on the hunt, but instead they produce what are called antibodies. If you're vaccinated to fight a specific disease, let's say typhoid, the lymphocytes learn how to develop antibodies that fight against typhoid. And because they have a fantastic memory, lymphocytes are immediately able not only to identify the germs at first glance, but to reproduce on the spot thousands of the right antibodies. So if one day a couple of typhoid germs should happen to drop by, well, let's just say I wouldn't want to be in their shoes. So then, we have these antibodies that are busy protecting us, some against typhoid, others against diphtheria, and others against deadly diseases like tetanus. It's all very interesting, and I think we should say thanks to the white corpuscles for this. Thank you, Mr. White Corpuscle. But there are also antibodies that can be produced without your having to be vaccinated. Some of them protect your body against cells which come from someone next to you. These cells don't necessarily mean any harm. Red corpuscles, for example. All of your red corpuscles are of one type, let's say type A. But if you receive some red corpuscles from group B, your antibodies against B, which are always on the alert, will immediately leave to hunt down all those corpuscles labeled B. They can produce a very dangerous reaction. They are incompatible. There's also what one calls anti-rhesus antibodies, but that's another story. All this means that rigorous rules must be applied when a transfusion occurs between people of different blood types. Yes, blood is all of these: plasma, red corpuscles, leukocytes, lymphocytes, proteins, antibodies. Oh, and I almost forgot the team of plumbers. That is to say, the platelets, the fibrinogen, and other coagulation factors. If there's a leak somewhere, they're the ones that will stop it. So you see, it is this teeny little world that gives life to your cells and to you. I hope for as long a time as possible. However, they themselves don't live to a ripe old age. The red corpuscles, for example, load, unload oxygen, refill with carbonic gas, unload the carbonic gas, load up with oxygen, etc., 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 etc. And by the end of 120 days of so many round trips, the poor things are all exhausted, and so they have to be taken out of service. But never mind. Somewhere in the bone marrow or in the spleen, new red corpuscles are being reproduced non-stop. Suppose a quart of my blood disappears. It will be replaced immediately. This is not a serious thing when one is healthy, but when things go bad, blood is all important. Sometimes you need up to 30 hearts to save a life. And you can't expect 30 hearts with the same blood type to show up simultaneously just like that. It's necessary for the specialist to have a ready reserve, especially for those rare kinds like type O negative. Sometimes blood is kept complete with all its parts together. More often, though, the individual parts are separated into plasma, red corpuscles, platelets, white corpuscles. Perhaps to save a life, red corpuscles might be needed. Another time, white corpuscles will be required. Or platelets, or plasma will be called upon. You see, we need many of you to save a life. And the blood you donate might save more than one life. The blood family is made up of hundreds of blood types and is very large. Blood may mean nothing to you when you are well, but it's everything to those who are very ill. Give something of yourself. So give with your heart.